Welcome to the video lecture series of Grade 10 Chemistry. Today we are going to discuss previous, previous year questions. 2024 question I have selected. So this is a science question paper. I have taken only chemistry questions from this paper. We are going to discuss the section A part. Section A part contains 1 mark question. It's MCQ questions. There will be 4 answers. You are supposed to write the one answer. The correct answer. So the first question, when 2 ml of sodium hydroxide solution is added to few pieces of zinc. So NaOH is added to zinc in a test tube and then warmed. Reaction that occurs can be written in the form of a balanced chemical equation as. So you are supposed to write the reaction between sodium hydroxide and zinc. So sodium hydroxide formula is NaOH and that of zinc is Zn. And so this is reacting to give a product like Na2Zn O2, sodium zincate. And hydrogen gas will be liberated. So this is the formula Na2Zn O2. So here the correct option is given. NaOH plus zinc will give you Na2Zn O2 plus H2. So the correct answer is option B. Now the second question, select from the following a decomposition reaction in which source of energy is decomposition of light. So decomposition by light. The first one is FeSO4, Fe2O3. So that is thermal decomposition. H2O decomposed to give H2 plus O2, that is decomposing by electricity. So electrolytic decomposition. AgBr. So this is light, decomposition by light. So our answer is AgBr gives Ag plus Br2. Next question. Third question. A metal and a non-metal exist in liquid state at room temperature. So metal you should select first, then non-metal. So metal in liquid state is mercury, and non-metal which is liquid state is iodine. That is wrong. Then mercury and bromine. This is the correct answer. Mercury is liquid, it's a metal, and bromine is a non-metal. So both are exist in liquid state. Iodine is solid actually. It's a solid compound, non-metal, but it is solid. So the correct answer is option C. Now the next question. Carbon compounds are good conductors of electricity, bad conductors of electricity, have strong forces of attraction between their molecules, have weak forces of attraction between their molecules. So carbon compounds are actually they are bad conductors of electricity. They have weak force of attraction between their molecules. So the combination should be 2 and 4. The 2 and 4 combination is option C. Option C. 2 and 4. Carbon compounds are bad conductors of electricity, which means they are not conducting electricity because and they have weak force of attraction between their molecules. So option is C. Next question. Oxides of aluminum and zinc are both are amphoteric in nature. Aluminum oxide is amphoteric. Zinc oxide also amphoteric. Aluminum oxide is Al2O3. Zinc oxide is Al2O3. Zinc oxide is ZnO. Okay. The oxides of aluminum and zinc are amphoteric oxide, which means they can both react with the acid as well as base. Next question. MnO2 plus HCl, 4HCl gives MnCl2 H2Cl2. So the reaction given here is a redox reaction. And in this case, MnO, there are four options given. You should select the correct option. MnO2 is oxidized. So that's wrong because MnO2 already contains oxygen, so it cannot oxidize again. MnO2 is actually reduced. So MnO2 is reduced. And the HCl, that get oxidized. So this is a redox reaction. MnO2 is reduced and HCl is oxidized. So option is D. Next question is an assertion reasoning question from chemistry. The assertion is hydrogen gas is not evolved when zinc reacts with nitric acid. A statement is true. Nitric acid usually will not give any hydrogen gas with the zinc and all those kind of metals. Nitric acid oxidizes hydrogen gas produced to water and itself gets reduced. That's correct reason. Usually HNO3 not evolving any hydrogen gas with the most of the common metals. Actually hydrogen gas is evolving, but that will be again reacting with oxygen and form water, H2O. Okay. So both the assertion and the reason are true, and the reason is the correct explanation. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Okay, now section B question. Name the type of chemical reaction in which calcium oxide reacts with the water. So calcium oxide reacts with the water. You get calcium hydroxide, CaOH twice. So this is an example of combination reaction. It's a combination reaction and a large amount of heat is liberated. This is an exothermic reaction. Justify your answer by giving balanced chemical equation for the chemical reaction. Okay, it's a combination reaction. Two reactants combine to give a single product. And CaO plus H2O gives CaOH twice, calcium hydroxide. And it's an exothermic reaction. It's a 2-mark question. 2 mark. Next question, it's a section C question. Write one chemical equation each for the chemical reaction in which the following have taken place. So this is having 3 mark, each will have 1 mark. You should write one chemical equation for change in color, change in temperature, formation of precipitate. Mention color change or temperature change or compound precipitated along with equation. Okay, that's good question. Change in color. So you can write Fe and copper sulfate. A displacement reaction. Copper sulfate is blue in color. Displacement reaction. So you get FeSO4 plus copper. FeSO4 is green in color. Now, second one, change in temperature. The previous reaction you can write. Calcium oxide plus water, you get calcium hydroxide. So that is a liberation of heat. Lot of reactions you can write. CaO plus H2O. It becomes CaOH twice. So this is an exothermic reaction. Heat is liberating. Or you can write the neutralization reaction like an acid reacts with a base. So that also exothermic reaction. sodium hydroxide and HCl, you get sodium chloride and water. So uh, heat will be liberated. That's an exothermic reaction. That also we can write. Third one, formation of precipitate. Lead nitrate, PbNO3 twice plus Ki, we get PbI2, lead iodide plus KNO3. Here lead PbNO3 colorless, lead potassium iodide colorless, lead iodide is yellow precipitate. Yellow precipitate. Okay, so these are the three reactions. So all of this will give you 3 marks each. We have a lot of other reactions. Any displacement reaction you can write for the formation of precipitate. Many of the precipitation reactions are double displacement reactions. Barium chloride and sodium sulfate, you will get barium sulfate and sodium chloride. That also precipitation reaction. Next one, it's again a 3-mark question. The pH of a sample of tomato juice is 4.6. Now, how is this juice likely to be in taste? Give a reason to justify your answer. So, 4.6 is actually in pH scale. 7 is neutral. Below that, so 1 to 7 all are acidic. And the 7 to 14 all are basic. So, this is 4.6. So, the tomato juice is acidic, sour taste. The juice will be slightly sour. The 4.6 indicates that tomato juice is an acid, and acid are sour in taste. Second question, how do we differentiate between a strong acid and a weak base in terms of ion formation in aqueous solution? Okay, so acids usually give H plus ions. Acids give more H plus ions, strong acids, or H3O plus are strong acids. But this is a weak base. Weak base give less OH minus ions. They are weak bases. Okay. Strong acid will give more H plus ions or more hydronium ions. And weak base will give less OH minus ions. All this happen when acid and base dissolving water. So the water solution is called the aqueous solution. Third question, the acid rain can make the survival of aquatic animals difficult. How? Usually the living animals can survive within the pH range of 7 to 7.8, like slightly neutral and to slightly basic. So the pH of river water becomes low due to acid rain. pH become less than 5.6. So in acidic solution or in acidic water, living organisms cannot survive. So pH will be lowered when acid rain happens. So survival of aquatic animals become difficult. Okay, this is again 3-mark question. Now section D question, which is of 5 mark. This is a carbon compound. This question is from carbon and compounds, organic chemistry. Define homologous series of carbon compounds. Homologous series means a series of carbon compounds in which they have same functional group. Okay, and they have similar chemical property and physical property will be different. Physical property will be different. They will have different physical property. So carbon compounds with the same functional group, you can classify it in the homologous series. They have same chemical property because they are coming in same category. They will have same atoms. For example, if you take alkane, alkane comes as a homologous series. All they will have hydrogen, carbon and hydrogen only, and they have carbon hydrogen single bond. So They have same chemical property. But when you take methane, ethane, propane, their molecular mass will be different. They have different number of carbon and hydrogen atoms. So their physical property like melting point, boiling point, etc. will be different because of the increasing number of carbon and hydrogen atoms. Okay. Now there is second question. Why is the melting point of C4H8 higher than C3H6 and C2H4? So these C2H4 all are alkene. Alkene. The first member is C2H4, second one is C3H6, and the fourth one is C4H8. So the C4H8 will have a higher melting and boiling point than C3H6 or C2H4. Obviously, it is right because they have different number of carbon atoms. C4H8 is there are 4 carbon and 8 hydrogen, but the other two, the carbon and hydrogen numbers are very less. So when the number of atoms are increasing, their molecular mass will be increasing. So we should give more amount of energy to make them melt or to make them boil. That's why the melting and boiling point will be very high for the higher members. Third question, why do we not see any gradation in chemical properties? This is because compounds are determined by their chemical properties mainly determined by their functional group. Okay, so this functional group will have same type of elements, same type of carbon and hydrogen or oxygen. So the in a functional group, all the members will have same chemical property because all the elements are same. So they have same chemical properties. Now write the structures of aldehyde ketone with the molecular formula C3H6O. C3H6O. So aldehyde, the functional group is CHO, CH2, CH3. CH3, CH2, CH2. This is an aldehyde. And for ketone, uh, ketone you need a CO group. Functional group is CO. CH3, CO, CH3. This is ketone. Okay. If you want, you can write CHO in the functional group like C double bond OH. CH3, CH2, CHO. And here you can write this also correct, C double bond O CH3. Here we are showing the type of bond present in the functional group. So this is aldehyde and other one is ketone. Now section E, which is a case-based question. So there will be a smaller paragraph and there are 2-3 questions. You should read and understand the paragraph and then you have to answer it. So the text given here is regarding the metals. The metals produced by various reduction processes are not very pure. So they contain impurities which must be removed to obtain pure metals. The most widely used method for refining pure metal is electrolytic refining. Now, what is a cathode and anode made of in the refining of copper by this process? So they are asking you to explain the cathode and anode. Copper in the refining of copper. Copper is refined by electrolytic process. Electricity will be passed through copper solution. Okay. So what is the cathode and anode? So you should have an idea on electrolytic refining of copper. Otherwise, you may not be able to write this. So the answer is. So we'll explain the electrolytic refining of copper. So in the beaker, you will have that copper sulfate solution. Okay. And so this is copper sulfate solution, CuSO4, and you should add a little sulfuric acid, acidified copper sulfate solution. Now there will be 2 electrodes and these are connected to battery. Okay, you will have a battery here and your cathode will be pure copper and anode will be impure copper. and the electrolyte is acidified copper sulfate, as I explained. Now, name. So these are the questions. What is a cathode and anode? Cathode is pure copper, anode is impure copper. Name the solution used in the above process and write its formula. Solution used here is acidified copper sulfate solution. And formula is CSO4. How copper gets refined when electric current is passed in the electrolytic cell? Pure copper from the anode dissolves into electrolyte, and an equivalent amount of pure metal from the electrolyte is deposited in the cathode. Then at anode, Cu loses 2 electron and becomes Cu2 plus. And this at cathode, Cu2 plus accept this 2 electron and form copper. The impurities go into the solution and it is called anode mud. It will be settling at the bottom of the anode. Okay, so that's about the purification of copper. Now, you have two beakers A and B containing copper sulfate solution. What would you observe after about 2 hours if you dip a strip of zinc in beaker A and strip of silver in beaker B? Give reason for your observations in each case. So basically we have two test tubes of two beakers, okay, A and B, and A will have both containing CuSO4. CuSO4 and uh, we are dipping a strip of zinc in beaker A and silver in beaker B. Now this is displacement reaction will happen. You should find which one is more reactive, copper or zinc. In second case, copper or silver. That is a question. So as you know, copper sulfate is blue in color. So when you add zinc to copper, zinc is more reactive than copper. Zinc will displace copper from copper sulfate and the solution becomes zinc sulfate. Okay. So the blue color will be changing. In the first beaker, the reaction is zinc plus copper sulfate. So we get zinc sulfate and copper. So before it was blue in color, now it is changed to colorless. Or you can write white, no problem. Or the blue color become faint. This is for A. Now second beaker, beaker B, we are explaining the copper sulfate and silver. Beaker B, it is copper sulfate and silver. So we are comparing the reactivity of copper sulfate with the silver, and here copper is more reactive than silver. No reaction happens, or no displacement reaction, no change, no reaction. So the color will become blue itself. There is no reaction. So the color will be same in this case. Okay. So if you want to answer this question, you should know the reactivity series properly. Students, learn the reactivity series very well because a lot of questions asking for displacement as well as double displacement reaction. Okay. So this is the section E part. One was electrolytic refining of copper. Second one regarding the displacement reaction. So next class we will see with the next set of question paper. Till then, bye bye, children.